Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another episode of T3PO Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, we got Follow the Bradley's fun, not only on the panel, yes, spoilers, folks, but also the wife here, Virginia Bradley's adventures. Very, very cool. Welcome in. Happy to have you here, Greg C. Awesome stuff. Hey, it's good to be back. You know, Palm Springs was fun. It was awesome. It was amazing, very relaxing. Also, too, somewhat stressful because, you know, I had to keep the channels going, folks. I had to keep the content train going, and sometimes technical issues, get in the way, and they are a little bit stressful in order to work out. But I am glad to be back here and with you guys and catching up on all the events, the news, everything, and so forth. Very, very interesting what is going on. And we have some people who are going to help us out with this. People who have a first-hand experience knowledge of all the happenings that we're going to be talking about. So that is very, very cool. Let's go ahead and bring on our illustrious panel, our amazing panelists, and the contributors to not only their own channels, but to a lot of what we do here at the That Park Place Network. So first, we have Ron from Follow the Bradley's Fun. We have Nolan Thunder, and of course, Barry Place 28. Hello there, all. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Yep,
yes.
Well, and I have a friend with me. He's kind of shy, but I don't know if he wants to say hi there. Well, yeah, I don't know. He's like I said, he's shy. So,
well, I know Nolan Thunder has a couple of friends of his own that might make their way in and out of camera. I know that.
Yeah,
for sure.
You might see a lot of. This might be the cat variety hour. You're gonna see two cats going in and out. I've been gone for several days. I wasn't going to lock the door in their face, so you might see some. This might quickly become like that Marvel's live stream where you just watch the cats the whole time.
Literally, Nolan.
Oh, that was horrible. What the? It's like the worst advertisement ever.
The Flurkins. No, Nolan Thunder literally just got off the plane and got
Yeah.
home 30 minutes ago. So he is fresh from Orlando. That's going to be
I'm
a lot of
operating
fun.
on 3.5 hours of sleep, so I promise not to say anything that's going to get me canceled tonight.
What was were you on Southwest or
Southwest,
like
and it did not go too great. Little fast coming from one of the I guess flight operators, ride operators, whatever you call the people in the queue for the plane. Like, but you know what? We made it through. We're probably never riding Southwest again, but we'll Delta it up in this baby.
I suppose so. I heard Delta is the way to go when it comes to Orlando, and I have had my own experiences with Southwest airports and the venerable MCO. Oh boy, the stories I could tell you guys, but that is for another stream another day. Bob, you sent me a video, and you know what? We hold Disney accountable a lot here on That Park Place Network. Y'all know that. We call balls and strikes on here. But with calling those balls, we do like to call some strikes every once in a while. Bob, you sent me this video, this one from the bad place, TikTok over here, but from the LA couple originally. And I thought this was really, really great right here. I'm going to go ahead and let this play. This is apparently the little boy in this video is hard of hearing or is outright deaf. And, when meeting Bo Peep and Woody, they have a magical experience. So here we go. We'll play it. You can see maybe they might not be initially aware, but here we go. Bo Peep there starts signing to him and making his day there.
Oh, yeah.
You know how rare that probably is for that kid? Like, that is incredible. I am shocked they knew what to do, and that could literally change that kid's life forever for the better. In a spot where we see so much gloom and doom news, that is one of the best headlines I've seen all year.
That's really cool. That's really awesome. I really love the cast members going above and beyond like that. It's what makes that Disney magic, that Disney magic, and it's also why you hold on to some good people who can contribute to that. That is for sure. Bob, your takeaways here. Oh, I think you're muted, Bob.
I guess it kind of helps if I unmute myself, right?
Sorry. If you tried to contribute
I'm all saying
before,
hi in the beginning. Hey,
okay.
So, the moments like this are amazing. And I'm so glad to see, cast members like this, doing this to make, the family and the kids' day. I'm in the parks all the time, and I see some pretty amazing cast members. In fact, I even created a sticker that says "Cast Member Extraordinaire" that I pass out to the cast members when they do something really cool or special, or they're just they're doing a great job. And when you see something like this, it just warms the hearts and doesn't make you think about all those other things that we talk about in Disney sometimes. Now, look, I know that I'm kind of the optimistic one on the channel here most of the time, and I'm saying, well, look, not everything's bad at Disney, and so when I see things like this, I just want to share it. But it makes me I don't know if you guys remember, but Miracle on 34th Street. Do you guys ever remember that? And Santa Claus sits down and talks to Natalie Wood's character, and or right before that, this girl from Rotterdam, she only speaks Dutch, and he speaks Dutch to her. That's like this magical moment that you see here at Disneyland, which is really, really cool. And you can see it really makes his day. So I'm really glad that we're able to share this, and I'm so glad that these cast members were so amazing and outstanding.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I actually do like sharing stories like this whenever we can, because they're so few and far between. Maybe
So one of the things that happens if you're a cast member, I think Bob knows this, is that This is exactly what they do in traditions class. They will play you a whole montage of videos like this, and you even read. This was really funny. When I first went through traditions class, it was 2014, and I actually got a little gift for doing this, but they gave me one of the letters from a guest to a cast member to read like this. So they'll highlight a few letters and then they'll go around the room. There's like 50 of you in traditions class, and you can raise your hand and give it to you read. 2014 was a different age, but I read it in the voice of Bill Cosby, which at that point in time was still quite funny. I was 12 years ago, so it was 10 years ago, so it was before all the stuff we know now. But
back when they still had the statue of him at Disney World.
Yes, they did. As a matter of fact,
yeah.
So
they did.
But my point being that that's the whole point. That's the stuff. I don't even know if they do that in traditions class anymore, but you have the montage of moments like this, and then the montage of parents surprising their kids that they're going to go to Disney World, and their reactions of, what? We're going to Disney World? And that's the way that it is supposed to be. And the whole reason I do what I do is because I want to get all of that back all of the time. I want those expectations to always be met, and have this moment like kind of an expected moment rather than a surprise. And it's very, very cool that obviously we have Give Kids the World Village here. Children's Miracle Network brings in kids, and there's a lot of the special kids. So this to me is so in opposition to like the recent stories that are unfortunate we've had about the DAS, and I really appreciate that Disney still does this, and they just need to do it all the time with everything.
Well, and I just want to remind everyone, for those that go to the parks, whether it doesn't matter what Disney park you're at, if you go into the Disneyland app and you click on those three, little dot or lines, you go there, go to the very, very bottom, and there's a cast compliment section. And I tell my viewers to go there all the time to make cast compliments, and I do it as well. In fact, I just did one this morning for one that happened on Sunday, and it's great because you can go in there and you can tell them exactly, what area, what park it was, what area of the park it was, and then you can tell them their name and the city and state that they're from on their badges now instead of the characters, now that they're done with 100 years at Disney. And so if you do that, it helps, just kind of, recognize those cast members. And I think it's an important thing to do because we have some amazing cast members at the parks, and I think we should definitely recognize them.
100% agree. Do that. I do that myself all the time. It ends up being a lot with the PhotoPass cast members when they're really good. So, but and you have great conversations with those PhotoPass people. Those are some of the most fun cast members to interact with, and I haven't had a bad experience with the PhotoPass cast members, so that's like a really good thing.
That's cool. That's great. I also want to give a little bit of a cast member appreciation here. Maybe not, Disney cast member necessarily, but cast member in the form of Theme Park Casual, always joining us here. Very, very cool. Hello, kids. Just an amazing person, an amazing man. And also, too, he had a little bit to say about Disney's efforts when it came to the world of advertisement here recently.
He sure did.
So, I love this story right here. Theme Park Casual. Well, there it is. Maybe I'm being overly critical, but there's nothing magical, creative, or even enticing about these banners. And these banners, folks, are for the Lightning Lane Multipass, the new product that Disney just launched. I think it's FastPass 3.0. Now, essentially, after being rebranded from Genie Plus, now Lightning Lane Multipass, and these are for the Disneyland Resort, specifically along the tram route is where these are located. But there's nothing magical or even creative or enticing about these banners. They are about as bland, informative as it gets. Looks like it could be packaging for a store brand antihistamine, which is very funny. But
I completely agree. It looks like it came right out of CVS. Like, as I got to experience this past weekend, It's all over the app too. Like you get this really cool magical style, like how they theme the app. And I know the app has been kind of a meme. I remember Lorena once, a long while back, said that the Disney apps were kind of a meme amongst the IT group for how bad they were. But you look at this and it's just it's kind of confusing with the white without any real like huge outline. It doesn't scream Disney. And I know I sound kind of weird, complaining about a logo, but I mean, with Disney, it's all about the devil in the detail. And this looks like something that would come off my grandma's prescription order. So I don't like it.
Well,
I mean, to be fair, it looks like something that would be in CommuniCore Hall.
We'll get to that in a moment.
We're going to talk about that, yeah.
But, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's not just this one too. What Theme Park Casual, probably could have shown too is that there's another one that says mobile order and it's a blue, and it's just boring as heck. It doesn't even look like anything. I mean, to me, my comment to Theme Park Casual is it looks like a little advertisement for spearmint gum or something. I mean, it's boring and it doesn't look very interesting. I mean, yes, green's my favorite color, but this does nothing for me here to make me want to get a multi-pass whatsoever. So
actually, you know what that
I'm
looks
on
like?
Team Green, but when you say that, give this thing some credit. Actually, no, because the Five Gum, that had way cooler logo aesthetics and commercials than this ever did. So it can't even beat gum.
It kind of looks like it should have a disclaimer on the bottom of it of all of the possible symptoms it could give you if you don't consult your doctor.
Yeah, well, stress, maybe altercations with other guests, all kinds of side effects potentially from Lightning Lane Multipass. Reply by mail.
Flares from the crowd that you pass by when walking to the attraction.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Reply by mail. Oh, geez.
So funny. Well, Theme Park Casual actually decided to do something about it here. He decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and redesign this for you because that's what Theme Park Casual does. Some of the best branding in the business. Did this in less than an hour, counting the time to find artwork and redraw the logo. Again, it's perfect, right? It shows
Isn't that hard?
Shows characters walking through. I know even Paris used the Lightning McQueen branding in order to kind of attach it to a character of some kind. It's just there are plenty of ways to do this properly, and it just seems like Disney might not have been interested, or maybe they got the cheapest they could possibly get in order to put up or to make and put up these signs, which is really unfortunate. It used to be different. Disney, come on. Hire Theme Park Casual. Let's get some good art there.
I wish that there was a way to just bring Walt back for a day and walk him through the parks and then interview him about what he thinks now. Boy, would I be curious to know how that would turn out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think seeing a product like Lightning Lane Multipass is like, you're treating the guests differently. It's like, I don't think that would fly. But yes, I would love to get his sense here. I think somebody asked, if you only had one attraction to ride with Walt, what would it be? And it's like the railroad, obviously, circle around the park and really get his thoughts for 30 minutes or so. Oh boy, very, very bad. But you know what? Nolan, actually, like I was saying before, he just got off the plane, actually coming back from Orlando, and had some thoughts here. I'll go ahead and cover these right here. This tweet going real viral right here. What was that? Broke 4 times and had too much, quote, dead space at some key spots. Mama Odie's animatronic broke during the very last scene, and her mouth moved and her body didn't. It was creepy. Too many screens. Tiana deserves so much better. That's right, folks. Tiana's still having problems to this day, and it's also expanding out west. But we'll get to that part of the story in just a moment. Nolan, your thoughts on Tiana's Bayou adventure?
First thing I'd like to say is that's the sexiest man I've ever seen in my life, first off. Second off, he probably takes rides way too seriously is the second thing. But no, let me give you a little play-by-play here. So it broke down, I believe, 4 times, if I remember. Sorry, it was a busy weekend, but I'm recollecting to the best that I can. So we get on the ride, and just already kind of we managed to somehow score a virtual queue after having a downpour happen. We were looking for Winnie the Pooh, and we ended up on this. And I was like, okay, let's give this a try. So trying to be fair with it, trying the best I can to, you know, look at the positives. I just don't want to go on and be a negative Nancy. And I felt really bad for some of the kids in front of me because I was ranting a lot on this ride with my mother. And I'm like, man, I don't want to take out the magic of it. But oh my gosh, when it breaks down so often, it's kind of hard to not complain. So we start out, we get up on the queue, and I am used to, you know, the Cedar Fair parks of the Midwest where you're about to go on that ride and you're like patting you down all over to make sure you're buckled in, you're strapped, you ain't going nowhere. And so I was kind of neglecting that. Sorry, I'm on like 3 hours of sleep right now. We were going up the chain lift thing and the ride stops. And then we're like, well, why is it stopped? And there was a woman who had brought out her phone on the ride. And it's like, oh, that's definitely what it is. You know, there was one time where we were at Cedar Point and a guy completely chewed out this 16-year-old girl and talked about how people could die from it. I felt bad for the girl, and I wasn't even the one getting yelled at. But they take ride safety very seriously. So then I realized, and I felt really, really dumb here. They come to our car because, you know, Disney has so many different kinds of ride vehicles. Our lap bars weren't pulled down, and no one pushed them down to make sure.
Goodness
I am
gracious.
not going to blame the cast members. I will take blame on that. But the weird thing was, after it came down, it stayed stop. Like, usually, I've been on several rides. This happens in theme parks, especially at the Cedar Fair parks. Rides will stop. It happens at your local fair. But usually, you know, it's shut it off. Okay, back up. It takes only a second and it's going. We were still waiting a hot minute on that lift, and it's like, okay, why is this taking so long? So we go up back. So finally we start going up the hill, and we're presented with a very boring, very confusing plot. And I know that theme park rides should be like a love letter to their fans of those who love the IP, like Harry Potter Land at Universal Studios. Even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, you can appreciate like the detail they did, how magical it looks. And to a Harry Potter fan, it's perfect. It's all stuff they recognize. Me and my mother had not seen Princess and the Frog going into this, and we actually saw like an old DVD on the bus. They were having like a bus company come out for like the weekend with the holiday, or maybe they just use them now. And we got to watch a little bit of the movie, and it was like, oh my gosh, we were both like, this is so cute. So for anyone thinking that we're just a bunch of like people who hate Tiana, no, like I think the movie is very cute from what I've seen. But going in, you take a ride, let's take like Star Tours, for example. When you're going into a ride, a themed ride, you need like a presentation. It's like, okay, if you've never seen this before in your life, you have the bad guys. They're trying to steal something. They're trying to hurt the heroes, destroy the planet, whatever. Guardians. I have never seen any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I'm sorry. I apologize about that. But when I was on the Guardians ride, it was so easy to understand. These are our good guys. Bad guy wants to do evil things. It makes sense. This ride, I think we were trying to get like a plant or a spice or something for her restaurant that they didn't explain that much. I guess it kind of explains in the queue, but it was just so confusing. And like, then all of a sudden we get shrunk. I think it was not a very good effect to make it look like you were small. So this Mama Odie, I guess she has the power to make us small. So we're doing that. The second part's a little bit fuzzy, but I believe it broke down a little bit before we had this dead space. And when I say dead space, there was like a whole 10 seconds of this ride where there's just like nothing happening. There's a few animatronics here and there, but one thing we were really pointing out a lot was Tiana's not wearing her iconic dress. She's in like this safari outfit, and they could have done something because you see her like 3 or 4 times in this ride. One almost for each time it broke down. And she's wearing the same outfit up until the end. And when you finally see her at the end, she's wearing an outfit that once again is not from the movie. And it was shiny. I liked it. But, you know, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So we finally get to, after that really boring, not very well utilized passage of time, We finally get to it, and I'm about to experience that Splash Mountain-esque drop for the first time in my life. And I'm like, bring it on, baby. So we do it, and it was like, okay. Wasn't as thrilling as I wanted to because of how lame the startup for it was. But, you know, at least the drop was fun. So we start going around, and the ride stops. And I'm thinking, okay, because at this point, I'm just reflecting on the ride with my mom. It's like, okay, we're waiting to get off. And then I'm like, wait a minute. We're stuck again. Like, we're not at the end of the ride. I thought this was the end. And, like, I'm looking back behind us, and I just see all these people, and they're just making this face. Like, they look bored out of their minds. Like, it was awful. I will say the people, the two little girls and their mom stuff, they were having a ball. I don't want to say that no one had fun on this ride. They seemed like they enjoyed it. I assume they probably never rode Splash Mountain, but I'm trying to keep this, you know, away from just the Splash Mountain biases. So we finally, after like the longest wait, start moving again, and we go in the tunnel, and the ride finally, for the first time this whole ride, does something really cool. You see all these animatronics together. I didn't recognize, of course, all the characters in the movie. Yes, this right here. And it's so cute. It's whimsical. It's like, I want a whole ride of this. And that dress, even though it wasn't for the movie, it was shiny. They didn't overdo the screens in the background. It's like, okay, this is just like the movie. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being a little too harsh here. So we're turning around the corner, and we see Mama Odie one more time. But she broke too. And she's talking to you in the most creepy way ever. Instead of like moving around, she's literally like, hey kids, thank you for riding Tiana's Bayou adventure. Be sure to go to the gift shop. And it's just, her head's like slanted and her mouth is still moving. It's creepy. It's more like something out of Alien Romulus. Like, I did not like this. I felt bad for the kids.
Did Juju pop up?
What's that?
Did Juju pop up, the snake?
I guess, but so we go into the tunnel, and just for one more screw you, we were about to get off the ride, and in the dark area where the queue is, instead of a natural stop, it broke down again, and we were waiting again. It was awful. I don't think I've ever seen, outside of like those neglected themed rides, you know, like the Garfield Dark ride over in Knott's Berry Farm, when that thing was breaking down, and like Garfield and Odie had like blacked out eyes due to lack of maintenance. But I have never seen a brand new ride as broken as this. And I know there has been some pushback where people, I remember there was a ride operator who quoted my tweet, and he said that, hey, I used to be a ride operator and this kind of things happen. That I understand. I rode Steel Vengeance at Cedar Fair the year it came out. And we got stuck on the left tail, and it was kind of hilarious. But 4 times, and the robot's breaking down, and it's going to creep out the kids. This is just such a poorly executed ride. And I truly believe that Tiana deserves better, because when you go and see rides like Guardians and EPCOT, or for crying out loud, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I felt like I was in a cartoon in that ride. Whether it should have replaced what was there before or not, that felt like a living cartoon that you could have fun with. The family, anyone could have fun. It shows just how far removed, in my opinion, the C-suite in California is from the Orlando park. Because there was still some of that Disney magic there. I was surprised, after everything I've been hearing, how nice some of these cast members were, how polite so many people were there. I had a great time my visit. But this right here is the symbol of everything that's wrong with Disney right now. How these people in these suits are just so removed from the people working hard in these parks. And that's why I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure is such a disappointment.
Oh, man. You know, it's fascinating. When you stood in front of that sign, I don't think there's a better representation of just how creatively lazy this whole thing was done. If you actually look very close at the sign, there is no depth to that sign. It literally is printed on, which is a stark contrast of the hand-carved signage and sign work that used to be a staple at Splash Mountain, now replaced with very cookie-cutter signage, and that's just one very minute aspect of this entire attraction. Again, details matter, they add up, and unfortunately, when those details aren't present, at least in the even in the large sums, like for example, what Nolan was actually talking about with the last scene here, it's like every single scene should have been like this. I actually happen to agree with that sentiment. And if every scene had been like that, maybe we would be looking at a completely different attraction with a completely different sentiment surrounding it. But unfortunately.
You know, a lot of people have said, why don't they just mirror the story of Princess and the Frog? But because this takes place in a bayou where a mountain has raised up, I thought, you know, some very simple fixes to this ride would be that it is Dr. Facilier who shrinks you, who shrinks you down and builds this mountain up and puts this, puts this obstacle in your way. So the whole idea, Tiana's looking for band members to play at this party. Now, if somehow they built this up as the grand opening of her, not like Tiana's Palace or, Tiana's Palace, the restaurant is opening Tiana's Foods. It's a big event. It's a big party for everybody. The whole town is invited. And Dr. Facilier stops it. Like, he wants to put a stop to this thing. And so then you have this whole tension story build up, and he shrinks you down, and you're not going to be able to go. And then, on the lift hill, it's going up, and you hear the, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" Mm-hmm. And then you go down, and then Mama Odie's at the bottom, and she's like, We've done it. We've got you back to the regular size, and everybody's going to the party, and you made it." And she reverses everything, right? Like, if you're gonna have voodoo magic in the ride, maybe you don't mention that it's voodoo magic, but Mama Odie is good voodoo, right? But she's supposed to be. They don't call her that. So why not have Dr. Facilier and also not call it voodoo? But you have the, you have the dark side and you have the good side, and they're fighting against each other, and you have some kind of a tension buildup, and then when you get to that splash, there's something. I mean, they could have. They could, even though, I mean, we can't go back to Splash. I wish we could, but we can't. But if they're going to make that decision, then why wouldn't they, A, make sure whatever they're doing works all the time, and B, really put some real thought into the ride? And then maybe also, if you use Dr. Facilier, you don't need a salt mine queue that might have ties to some very serious racist aspects. How do we say that on YouTube so it's okay?
Non-inclusive.
Well, yeah, but I agree with you, Ron. I think we all are on the same page. I mean, they could have done this with Dr. Facilier and not said anything about voodoo magic, but technically it is voodoo magic. But that's the thing. The Imagineers didn't want anything to do with voodoo magic, and they changed, Mama Odie to a fairy Bayou godmother. It's like, what the heck is that? I mean, there's so many things that they could have done to make this ride better, but they didn't. And now we're seeing the effects of it. And I think we're going to see the same thing when it comes to Disneyland.
Did you see it at night, Nolan?
Yes.
Did you see it from the outside at night?
I didn't get to see it at night, but I will say that I think it's hilarious, the fact that, they're avoiding the word voodoo like the plague. Meanwhile, I went to Universal Studios and went to a place called Voodoo Donuts. So I had that box of donuts at my stand every night at the hotel. So I'm like, yeah, good job, guys.
Well, it's all about that inclusion key that they're so keen on. But I like a reply by mail here with the good enough key. It's going to be the sixth key there. It's so true. The good enough key. So many times, Bob, I know you've looked at the transcript of the dialogue as written in this attraction and how atrocious it is, and just how
I transcribed it myself. It was terrible. Oh, jeez. I mean,
they say the same thing, like what, 5-6 dozen times?
Oh yeah, they repeat themselves so many times, and this, it's different version of the same thing over and over and over again, and it gets to the point where you're just like, okay, this is the dumbest, stupidest ride script story that I've ever read. I mean, couldn't they come up with something else for the characters to say and do? And it's minimal. I mean, the only characters that really talk though are Princess Tiana and Louis. That's it. You don't hear anyone else talk. No Nadine. And Mama Odie. That's it. Those are the three you hear talking. Other than that, Nothing.
When Nolan, you ever been to a rainforest cafe?
Oh, yes, very long time ago, but I get the vibe.
So when you get shrunk down, I swear, when I saw that big giant frog with the red eyes, I'm thinking somebody in the back is going to say volcano, and they're going to bring out big dessert. And I'm like, I'm in the rainforest cafe, man. And that's from the inside. That's actually way after Braden talked about it looking like Rainforest Cafe on the outside. Yeah, and I'm like, But the thing is, the reason I asked about it at night, this kind of has a cool, like almost haunted mystery vibe with the way they lit it from the outside at night. And it really, it like makes you feel like Dr. Facilier is there and he's not. And then they literally brought out the actor who played Dr. Facilier to help open the ride. And you're like, so confusing. Oh my gosh, it's so
that completely agree with you, Ron, because like I think I would agree the purple lighting they do at night is pretty cool looking. I'm a sucker for just changing the color of the light bulb, and I'll be all over that. I love lights, if you couldn't tell. But it's crazy though, because I remember, maybe this is just me being just not smart, but in this occasion, but I remember 4 years ago, when we went to Disney, Splash Mountain was shut down, and they hadn't announced at the time yet that it was going to become Tiana. I think it came back on sometime after our trip, but it was just really bad timing. And I remember I saw this, I'm like, talking to my mother, I'm like, wow, what is that? And she's like, that's Splash Mountain. I'm so sad it's down today. And then fast forward to modern day, being where I'm at now, we were going through, and I'm looking through some of the spots at like the park, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Tiana. Oh wait, no, that's like the mine train or something like that. What's that? And I'm like, oh, that's Tiana. It just blends into everything.
It's not the same as it was.
That's
Splash.
So
Splash had that weenie, that Chickapin Hill weenie at the top. That was, you could like. Okay, so when you turn the corner, if you're in the Magic Kingdom and you turn the corner into Liberty Square, and you look up and you can see, and it just drew your eyes right to it. And then you had Big Thunder over to the right. And I mean, like, sightlines used to be so important to Disney. Now, I know this is quoted all the time, like the sightline in Epcot, when you're looking over the land and you look at Morocco in Epcot, you don't notice, like, it's what you don't notice that matters, because when they built Hollywood Studios and they built the Tower of Terror, the backside of that showed up in Morocco. So the Imagineers made the backside of it look like a Moroccan building, so it would blend into Morocco in a different park. That's how important sightlines used to be to Imagineers. Where has that gone? Where? I guess it's gone to Universal, but
well, and that trend is going to continue here, Ron. That's the unfortunate thing. As Bob alluded to, it is expanding here in the West, opening November 15th, Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland. This is from Mice Chat's article that came out on Monday. Critter Country reopened on Friday after a nearly 2-month closure to accommodate some ground regrading and repaving, as well as ongoing construction surrounding Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The land's Critter Country name isn't long for this world. Even the spill in the Mark Twain Riverboat already refers to it as Bayou Country. The new name will debut alongside the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure in mid-November, but could be adopted sooner as the land opens in phases over the next couple of months. And you can see kind of the details here. They put up more. I think they put up more signage here to describe what it is, and not just Tiana's Foods, because everybody thinks it's a restaurant. Comically enough,
right? Well, look at that right there. It says Mardi Gras season. I was talking about this on my live stream on Sunday, because I was there for the first time to go on Winnie the Pooh and to walk around this area that's been closed for a while. And I was telling my viewers, I'm like, look, they have to tell everyone what the ride's about, because no one knows what the ride's about. So they're talking about, hey, celebrate, Mardi Gras season, at Prince Naveen and Princess Tiana's, place. But it's the fact that you have to put this up to explain the ride, it means that they have not done a good job of letting people know what this ride is all about. The other thing is, and I kind of thought this about the Walt Disney World version as well, but I'm there. It just opened on Friday in that area, the Pooh's area, and the Pooh's Corner opened back up. And I'm looking at the building, the yellow building for Tiana's, Bayou Adventure. And it looks like the sloppiest, worst paint job ever done. I understand it's supposed to be like weathered, but it just looks terrible in person. I mean, here it actually looks fairly decent in these pictures, but let me tell you,
Castro's camera there.
Well, yeah, but actually, can you scroll back up real quick? So that one picture right there, right above the window, there's some white in with the yellow, and it looks terrible the way it's blended. I mean, you're just like, what did they do? Why did they do this? And I know they're already destroying Splash Mountain for me, but the fact that they've taken this building, which looked so amazing before, and made it look worse. How do you do that? It just bothered me so much. And then, of course, you've got Pooh's Corner, which is cool. It looks like they're keeping that. Lewis's Critter Club is not open yet. Obviously, it'll open with a ride. But even that logo for Lewis's Critter Club just looks boring and stale and doesn't look exciting at all. So
yeah, let's look at that real fast because Critter Country has been closed for quite some time, at least at Disneyland. Obviously, they're re-theming Hungry Bear
that looked good.
Restaurant. Yeah, Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree. People are hoping for just a little bit more of the country bears to be added. Not just the mural right here. We'll have to see how that goes. But you can see right here they provided a new ramp up to Winnie the Pooh's entrance right there. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but stroller parking. Okay, well maybe I get that. But you were referring to the Critter Club here, which is really strange.
There it is.
To go away from Critter Country, even though we have critters in the actual attraction, we have now shops and stores and so forth in this land themed or named via Critter, but not using Critter Country. We're going to go in a different direction. That's a weird choice right there.
I mean, if they were going to go with Lewis's Critter Club, but they're changing it to Bayou Country, why didn't they just change to Lewis's Bayou Club or something like that? I don't know. Sounds just dumb, but
totally bizarre. Also, too, I think my shit actually mentions how it's like, okay, well, you have the Winnie the Pooh meet and greet characters. That's fine, but couldn't we have had like Tiana or Louie out here? I think that's also appropriate as well if we're going to really lean into the Bayou Country theme. Still kind of feels like Critter Country, at least to me. Also, too, the good enough key keeps coming up here. I scrolled past it here, but if we scroll right back up, let's see here the ground coverage. There's like what now 3 or 4 different hardscaping or ground coverages now, and you see how they all converge right there. It's weird. Yeah, it just looks rushed. It looks half done, looks half baked. We've been seeing this a lot. I guess there are some truck tires in the gravel there. That's supposed to be Tiana's food delivery truck. It's just, I don't know. I think much. It also too makes mention of the how much fake greenery there is on the actual mountain itself, and how well that's going to hold up in the, whether it be California or the Florida weather. We all have concerns about that. That is for sure. So
I saw a picture. I saw a picture of Splash the other day where real greenery has, grew on those levels of Splash during the summertime, and it was beautiful. Right. It really, really looked nice. Just enough to accent it. And it looks so much better than this plastic stuff that they have all over it now that, where I gave it the name Broccoli Mountain. It doesn't looks a little bit less like broccoli over in California than it does in Florida, I think. But,
one of the reasons is too because they left some of the dead shrubbery there that died during this construction project when they had the water off for these live plant that used to be there on the terraces of Splash Mountain. So we'll have to see how this all looks, but not impressed so far, that's for sure. Let's see here, but I know Ron is going to have to depart very soon here, and I wanted to get his take on a particular story surrounding, EPCOT and its atrophying, I don't know, additions, I guess. Here, this was a fountain. This was a fountain highly touted. This via here Mickey Central, and we also have one from Showcase as well. This fountain here was well regarded. I think this is one of the very first things that we got from this EPCOT overhaul or reimagining for this.
And the lights
for
aren't
Future
working.
World being turned into World Celebration now, and the lights are now flickering, which is great. So we now have problems there. Showcase
Some of the
wishes.
big LED things on Spaceship Earth too.
Yep.
I don't know how much they have to replace those, but they're very obvious when one of them is out, because it's like,
Right.
beautiful thing going on. It's like, there's a black spot. Although, I have to say, generally speaking, I really do like those lights. That's actually one of the really surprising thing to me. I was really mad that they were doing it when I saw them installing it, because I'm like, Spaceship Earth had that beautiful blue purple haze iconic look at night, and I was like, they're gonna ruin it, and that actually ended up looking good, and I like the shows that they can do on it and stuff with that,
right?
Like that. But, so I was pleasantly surprised. See, we do talk about the good things, but they gotta make this stuff work all the time.
And I'll say this as well too. When the original forecourt for the Spaceship Earth or World Celebration actually opened with these lights that were embedded in the ground, it was awesome. And this is the kind of the whole theme, folks. The decay that's happened here, because some of the stuff was actually decent. Now, again, they talked about, getting a fountain in 2019's D23 Expo. Bob Chapek was up there. Well, that didn't obviously happen. We got a planter here instead, which was supposed to be a place where we could have displays and so forth whenever celebrating certain festivals. That's not actually happened, but we did get the implementation of one festival. Nolan, you were going to say.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say, my time at EPCOT was during the Food and Wine Festival that they had going on, and they had the big fireworks show at the end, and I will say that was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. What they did with the lights was so creative. Just seeing how the unity of the world, how the lights connected to what was going on in the show. The music choices could have been a bit better, but just seeing the light, just seeing the ball glow so many different colors and in creative ways. I've seen a lot of light tricks over the years, but I will truly stand on that hill and say it was some of the best lighting show stuff I had seen in the world and will probably see in my life. Hopefully that changes, but I will say an absolute love letter to this show, and I think it's always a shame because, there's a lot of lights and a lot of things can happen. And I hope they can keep a good upkeep. Unfortunately, due to a lot of things, like that one pole at Disneyland for, was it Jungle Cruise, where it was like collapsing in and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of these problems are a lot more in the forefront. And reality is we live in the age now where everyone has evidence on their phone. Everyone has access to cameras. So it's very easy to have happen. Thankfully, from my experience, though, I can say I did not see anything that was astronomically bad as far as lighting malfunctions. And if there were any, it did not take me out of it. But I really hope they will take this seriously to avoid just becoming that rundown park that no one wants to go to because the budget is just that bad. But that's my 2 cents on these lights.
Did you have a Magic Band Plus by any chance, Nolan?
I believe so. Yeah, I had a Magic Band.
Was it going off like the lights and stuff during the show?
Yes, I was wondering why it did that.
It's so cool. I will say, that's the effect that I think I like more. And it's a simple thing, and it's really surprising. But when you have the Magic Band Plus on, it coordinates your lights on the Magic Band with the shows. And when it's all working,
are you serious? I thought this dang thing was yelling at me to go charge it.
No, that's
actually,
funny.
If you go into the My Disney Experience app, you can actually change what your lights do. So,
that is cool. And I know that. One more thing I just want to say before we change here. As someone who was at Universal this weekend as well, and had to do like the room key cards and stuff, which this is first world problems. The fact that we even have access to this is pretty incredible. But Magic Bands are just such a natural thing to use. You really just tap it, the mouse, the Mickey head just lights up and has that magical green glow. Like those little things is everything. And it doesn't take you out of anything. It gives you an excuse to not be on your phone. And that I admire. Magic bands, I might be several years late in singing their praises, but it just went along with everything. And those little details Ron brought up there, now I'm I'm excited to go back again to see it. It's cool.
Yeah, and look me up next time.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I thought I was in California.
This guy thinks I'm avoiding him.
Yeah.
No.
Ron's not in California. That's
I
for
think
sure.
at Barry Place 28. I'm out here in Cali.
Yeah. So go see Barry.
Well, unfortunately, these lights that you've been seeing here, well, that was when it opened, and unfortunately, right after that, things started going bad, and here's the current state of those lights, completely off, at least those embedded in the floor there, which I suppose the lights to the side there are what you're mainly looking at, but it was a nice illumination for this entire area, that is for sure. Unfortunately, no longer. You can see right here this photo from Showcase of Wishes. Actually, gotta give Showcase a shout out here. He let me use his photo for the thumbnail for this video, so thank you for that. But I believe he has video as well of these lights not actually on at all, and these were put in at great expense. I know there was an association with, I believe, Philips Hue in order to make these lights possible, and unfortunately, because of, I guess, the maintenance procedures regarding pressure washing of the ground, now all of these have been broken, and it's just really unfortunate how that came about, because this was a really cool effect, as we saw in that video over and over again. It was a really, really cool effect to have this all working, but now as guests experience their day at Epcot, well, they can't enjoy the same thing that we did just a couple of months ago. And going forward here, we saw this area, not the greatest, I guess, showcase of World Celebration that Epcot could possibly muster right here. But with this also came CommuniCore Hall. Now, we've covered this story before, but this is the interesting twist here. See, CommuniCore Hall was meant as a flex space. It was meant as a kind of a multi-activity center where the festivals that would descend on Epcot regularly, this is now known as the Festival Park, could have a permanent home. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Let's see at least how this space looks when a festival is put on, because people were saying, well, it's bland because, it needs a festival in order to really take center stage. Well, the festival came, and it's the Food and Wine Festival, a big, huge festival for Epcot this year's 2024. And this is how this space looks now. So, again...
What's that line from the movie? It's worse. It's so much worse.
This was supposed to make it better, but for some reason, it only seemed to make things worse as they just basically back in some merchandise racks, I guess, from what's the nearby shop here in Epcot's World Celebration. I can't remember the big shop. Is it? Is it?
It's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm not sure. But I do know the way they're all in the middle of the room like that, it doesn't look natural like a lot of the more integrated, like food spots are. It looks like kind of like with like Spirit Halloween. Actually, that's a different Spirit Halloween. I'm sorry, I take that back. It's like when you have a bigger store, like a retail chain, close unexpectedly, like they go out of business, and then they have a temporary shop in, and they move everything into kind of the middle. It doesn't look natural at all.
But you know what?
I have
just
some of those same racks in my room right here.
Look, I just went to D23, and even the store for D23, it had lighting. It had, it looked so much better than what this looked like. Oh, do we have? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
No, but you're right, and there have been others that have opened. Themed, multi-flex spaces. Like, for example, Park Journey here. 2 new seasonal stores opened in Orlando over the past couple of days, and they couldn't be more different. Universal's obviously done the legacy stores to just the nth degree the last couple of years. I mean, they've really knocked it out of the park with these stores, and yes, they are retail opportunities, but done in a very creative and fun way. And
they're
this is what
popular.
we get from the Mouse House.
Yeah, but
And they're
that's my
so
thing.
popular too. I was at it was called Theme something, what I can't remember the name, I'm sorry. But I went to that at the opening night for Halloween Horror Nights, and people were literally lining up for that thing like it was its own attraction. You literally walk through these stores through different aspects, different locations. It's themed. One area is kind of like Ghostbuster stuff. One is there's this little pumpkin character. I cannot remember his name to save my life. But he was like a meme that happened randomly. One year they were doing the Halloween Horror Nights, apparently. I believe I heard this story from Marvin, so credit to him. And he became a meme. So Universal embraced it and then made him like an icon for Halloween Horror Nights. And now they actually put him on the merchandise. And there was like a whole section that was just themed to him. So people have so much reason to get hyped up to go to these gift shops, as opposed to this where it just looked like it was extras left over from Journey to Imagination. It's weird.
They should never. They shouldn't have put merchandise in here at all, because as a festival center, it should be seating. And I know that in the Odyssey they had a couple little small things of merchandise in the past, but they still leave plenty of space for seating. Here, they literally took up half the building to put a few merchandise racks and some counters up to where people could check out. In my opinion, this needs to go, because it can, by the way. I'm almost hoping that maybe they're experimenting with it, seeing if it works. Hopefully they realize it doesn't, and then they take it out and they put the tables back in for seating, because this merchandise can clearly be sold anywhere. And I will tell you, I looked at all this merchandise. I saw it in there. I streamed it on day one of the festival, and I was like, why is this taking up this space? It's valuable indoor, air-conditioned seating space that people want during a festival. The other thing I really hope they do this, because I was analyzing it, the outdoor space where they have the show and the Beyonce stage or whatever. They really need to build it into a building, because if they built that area into a building, this could actually be an amazing festival center, a true festival center with size and maybe 4 or 5 different food kiosks inside of it, if that outside area was covered. Whoever did this, I don't know if it's shortcut, budget cuts, not having enough time to think through it. I would say that if I had to guess, it was budget and deadlines. And they went, what can we cut? What can we cut? What can we cut? And then make it somehow kind of work, except it's so not Disney. And that's obviously if you're going to a mall and you see this space, you go, okay, whatever. But it's not Disney. That's the problem. It's not Disney at all.
See,
And Ron,
that's why
malls are dying. Oh, sorry, Barry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Malls
are dying.
Well, I just compare that you're comparing it to a mall. Malls are dying. You expect them to not have a budget. Disney theoretically have a budget. Have you seen the price on their merchandise? It's insane.
Yeah,
and then I was actually a little bit shocked here when Vash was going through these pictures, because when I saw the food area, I soon realized, wait a minute, I was here. I went to there to get macaroni, and both of us were looking for a seat, and we couldn't get one. There was barely any seats there, and we ended up sitting behind one of the bands performing from the show while it was raining, or right after it was raining, mind you. So that was better than trying to find a seat in there. This is awful. Continue, anybody.
What I was going to say is that, I mean, if they just had D23 and that looked better than this, why didn't they take the stuff from D23 and moved over with their shelves and everything and their theming, and that would look better? But the thing is, just like you were showing earlier with the Universal store, they could do so much better doing that theming, right? The food and wine theming, and I just don't know why they didn't try to do something like that. Again, I'm sure it is a budget thing, but I'm sure they can, make some food and wine festival stuff where they can reuse it from year to year. And it's not just a total loss for that year, but it doesn't make it fun or appealing. look, even the Knott's Berry Farm Legacy store right now, that looks amazing for a Halloween. The way they have it, all ready to go and decorated, and there's so much stuff. It makes you want to buy that stuff. I look at this and go, am I at old Kmart or something like that? What do I want to buy here? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Even you mentioned D23.
Kmart.
This was the art that they debuted for this space right here. This is what this space is supposed to look like, at least for the arts festival right here. And it's like, how did you strike out this badly? And this was already the truncated version of what we were going to get here. We were supposed to get an entire festival pavilion that was going to be a play host to these things, and you can kind of see what they had before. This was Innovations West that they demolished for this thing. And it's
had they left this, it would have been better than what they have right now. That's the weirdest part of it.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. There's no question about that. It is just bizarre how, I mean, I don't understand how you could demolish a building like that and then in its place build something. And look, this is supposed to be a flex space. This is supposed to be something that really moves the needle in terms of ROI, or return on investment. It's like, okay, well, couldn't you have budgeted just a little bit more in order to maybe pique people's interest, get people over here and get people to buy? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Just financially, just the whole operation of a theme park in order to, sell, food, retail, all of that. It just
ironically, it's actually the one thing that everybody that I know that does Disney, Pixie Dusters, everybody complain about this. I mean, that's the thing. It's united the community.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It has, for sure.
When Scott Gustin and Mike are on the same page as essentially we are in calling out the Mouse House, in criticizing for this, it really does tell you something. So, unfortunately, CommuniCore Hall remains an embarrassment, which is most unfortunate. But Ron, I know you have to depart. I want to make sure that we go ahead and give you the time because you gave me the time. Very much appreciated. Ron, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful world out there?
I was going to say, speaking of embarrassments, let's talk about me.
Wow.
No.
I love self-deprecating humor. Alrighty then. So I am at Follow the Bradley's Fun on, and even though my ats are different, if you type into the search on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, Follow the Bradley's Fun. Just search that, and you'll find me and my family there with my beautiful wife Virginia, our son Xander, and our other son, older in the background, helps out with the music and all kinds of other fun stuff. So he just doesn't love to be on camera. He's in a couple things, but he likes to stay in the background. So we're all there. We all participate, and 80s man, sorry, I gotta go. Hey, but 80s man, before you get up for that final snack, I want you to know I've got your cat. Ah, hey, Willie. Hello,
Alf. That is amazing.
Don't got my cat.
Definitely, everyone, follow the Bradley's Fun. Absolutely. Go ahead and put that in the chat right there. You can go ahead and check out Ron and the family there. They're doing. I know Ron is putting in a lot of effort on this channel, putting out some amazing content for you. So
daily
please
show
go
at
ahead and give
9:30.
him.
By the way, I should say that there is a daily show at 9:30. That, like as in today, 9:30 Daily Dish streams right into culture, streams right into WDW Pro, streams right into that Park Place, the T3PO. So that's the way we do it. It's just it's like you just turn on one thing and you're led to everywhere you need to go.
Fantastic! That's awesome. Thank you, Ron. Well, very much appreciate you
so
stopping by here and offering you great insight. Thank you.
See you real soon.
Bye, Ron.
See you real soon, indeed. Oh, there we go. There we go. I got my sound effects back. I missed my sound effects there.
Oh my gosh, when we went on Star Tours, when that sound effect played, the first thing I thought about was you.
Yes, it warms the heart, doesn't it? It warms the heart, that's for sure. Now, I know, Bob, I know you have to run, but before you do, I got two stories for you, if you'll indulge me here.
Oh, I have until 1, so we're good.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good. So I know we talked about the red car trolley. I understand we talked about that to quite extent, but I want to go ahead and again, a new spin on this a little bit here. Mice Chat seems to believe that the trolley could indeed be saved, and there's actually a campaign going on, at least with some in the creative community, in order to get that to hopefully occur here. So this is from Mice Chat's Monday update, as we were reading before. We'll go ahead and read what they say about the red car trolley specifically. Red cars at risk. The big news that took Disneyland fans by storm early last week was word that the red car trolley would be closing in 2025 in order to accommodate Avengers Campus expansion construction. We broke this news in our Disneyland update last week, but we're following up on this news again this week. We'd like to reiterate from our coverage last week that the news of the red car trolley closure was not unexpected. Due to the location of the two new Avengers Campus attractions being located behind the existing Avengers HQ facade, we expected that the red cars would be impacted in some way, even if it was just temporary during construction. This is because the red car trolley's maintenance barn is also located just behind the Avengers HQ facade, with the trolley's backstage gate being cleverly blended into the Avengers HQ building. What is becoming clear now, however, is that the Avengers Campus expansion needs the space currently occupied by the Red Cars maintenance barn. And that's absolutely true. That is for sure. It says right here, when you're in Avengers Campus, you can spot the trolley tracks, and that's kind of that's what takes you beyond right there. And you can see the train doors there, which I think they also used for the Hulk exosuit. Is that right, Bob? Back when he made regular appearances in this land, now no longer. It says right here, to make matters worse for the red cars, Imagineering is in the process of finalizing plans for the new Avatar-themed expansion for Disney's California Adventure, and this expansion is most likely going to take over much of the Hollywoodland area of the park, if not all of it. So if Avatar does end up taking over the entirety of Hollywoodland, then there goes half of the red car trolley's route with it. So is there any hope for the trolley? We think that there could be. It's worth noting that Disney has declined to comment on whether the attraction's closure in 2025 would be a permanent one. Instead, Disney has only said more details would be shared at a later date. We admit that it's a dangerous path to get your hopes up with these sorts of things. For example, back in 2016, Disney flatly denied that there were plans to close the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror for the then-rumored Guardians of the Galaxy retheme, up until they finally ended up doing it. But we have heard indications that Disney is weighing their options at this point, and seeing if it would make sense to relocate the trolley barn and reroute the attraction's path. Now, there is also, too, a really great video, and hopefully I have it up here, yes, by Jim Shull, who has a YouTube channel, Disney Journey, and you can go ahead and see that. Let me see if I can get you that. Yeah, Disney Journey with Jim Shull, his official YouTube channel here, and he basically goes over the history of the red car trolley, why it's so important, and how it could possibly be saved. Now, he takes a very different tact with this, so I want to go ahead and give people a little rundown here. This is a map of the Disney California Adventure Park here, Disneyland just north of that. And if we look at Disney California Adventure Park, we can see that red car trolley maintenance facility right here, just beyond that Avengers Campus HQ facade, as pointed out in the article. And you can see kind of where that trolley track actually goes. It kind of sidewinds here, crosses across Hollywoodland, and then goes up Buena Vista Street. And this was really imperative in setting Disney California Adventure in a distinct time and place that was separate from the California that you could visit if you just visited the state, right? This was setting it in an era that is long gone, about the 1920s, 1930s. And Jim Shull lovingly actually goes over that in his video. I implore you to watch. But his idea was to actually shorten the route considerably, just kind of going from the center of kind of the hub of Disney California Adventure just beyond Buena Vista Street, and then actually going back. That was his kind of way of doing it. Mice Chat's way is setting it alongside the Hyperion and the formerly Tower of Terror, now Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Bob, what do you think about this? I know you commented a little bit last week, Nolan, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts as well. Do you think any of this is plausible? Do you think Avatar is going in here? Do you think it's going to take over this entire area? What do you think?
So, as far as the trolley goes, I mean, they have not said that they're going to get rid of the trolley at all. They just said we're going to get back to you. So there is a glimmer of hope that they may not be getting rid of the trolley, but according to what we're hearing, it sounds like maybe they are going to close this area. So let's go with the fact that maybe they're not going to, and they can reroute it. Well, they could easily reroute it past Guardians of the Galaxy and hopefully put a roundhouse back there for the trolley. But don't know if they could or not, or will or not. If they are planning on getting rid of this whole land, I still don't. I don't know. I don't see Pandora going into this area. I could be totally wrong, and we're ways off because Disney hasn't announced anything. But if they decide to put Pandora over here, I'd be kind of surprised because it's a lot of work to tear down all this area. Now, granted, they may not want to keep the theater and they may not want to keep some of the stuff in Hollywood land. And that's why they're talking about maybe, scrapping it all. But I think we're a ways off from hearing any of this or seeing any of this, from actually occurring or happening. So speculation, hey, we'll have to come back in another year or two because I personally don't see Pandora going into this area, even though I know a lot of people have said that. My source has not really gotten back to me with any factual information that I can go on. That's why I have not said anything about, Pandora being over there. The only thing that I can confirm that I know is that Coco is supposed to go behind Incredicoaster. And I'm sticking with that one right now because all my sources, or the two sources I have, seem to be pretty credible for that. Sure. But I don't know. I'm hoping that the trolley doesn't go away. I want to see it stay. But it depends on what Disney has planned. The problem is we don't know what they have planned. And so it could be a multitude of anything, going in that area. And we just have to wait and see, or wait to see what permits get put out in the next year or so when they start, developing stuff. I think will be interesting, though. Here's where it's going to be kind of telling. Cool. In January of 2025, I guess that's when they're going to be taking out this trolley, or at least closing it down. Paying attention to those permits and see what they put and see what's happening. Obviously, we'll see the destruction of that roundhouse. But if there's anything about them working on the trolley and redirecting the tracks, I think we'll have a good idea of what's happening and what's going to go on. But we're going to have to wait until beginning of next year to see that time.
Yeah, and there is some things that are encouraging. So it's interesting if you follow the permits. I know that Frontierland and Magic Kingdom is losing their shooting arcade. But thankfully, Disneyland isn't, and you can actually see some work being done as part of those permits, upgrades to electrical control cabins and new LED lights. So yes, Bob is exactly right. Watch the permits, and they'll basically tell you what the future might be. Nolan, your thoughts on maybe the red car trolley possibly being saved after all?
I don't want to be the one to bring the bad news of my opinion on that matter. I don't want to bring this wholesome, because I love trains and I love trolleys and I love vehicles that move. So it makes me sad because this trolley makes me very, very happy. It gives me the feeling of my inner childhood self watching like Thomas the Tank Engine and stuff. But I see this and I love it. And it has that classic, iconic Disney feel. The paint job is stellar. It's all perfect. I don't think it's going to stay because I think it comes down to what is modern Disney's philosophy. And as we've seen with like going back to Florida with everything they did to EPCOT, how much they just completely failed to hit what that concept art showed. I think this is just too complicated, too much of a involved process compared to, let's hire like B&M and something like that and have them build a ride for us and we'll throw some IP on it. Like, I don't think they're going to have to look at it like, we can't have anything in this park that's not IP. But with the maintenance that has to go into these sort of things, I just think they're going to take the lazy route, and I don't think they'll view it as worth saving just for the sake of a lot of people like it. And I really hope I'm completely wrong. And we look back on this as, oh, look at that trolley. Isn't he our little trooper? He's still going. But I'm worried about him. If we have to worry about such iconic things as Muppet Vision 3D and Frontierland and all that, going away and or possibly going away, it just looks a bit gloom. And seeing especially this amazing photo right here, that makes me sad. And I really hope this trolley still has a long rail line ahead of it, so to speak.
I hope so too, Gracie. Yeah, they are wiping California from California Venture. I mean, apparently there might be very soon here a name change coming to reflect that, not just in the actions that they do. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I really do hope the Red Car Trolley stays. It's just one of those things where, I mean, this park does not have any kinetic energy whatsoever. It doesn't have vehicles, doesn't have transportation. If we could maintain the trolley, I think that would be amazing. And hopefully they can find a way to cohesively theme it and so forth. But even if it's not, even if you have the Red Car Trolley going alongside or going within Avatar Pandora, does anybody really care? I mean, when you see a shot like that, I don't know. Like Nolan said, it really does warm the heartstrings, that's for sure. But before we lose Bob right here, I want to go ahead and switch to another story that came out. This one kind of, it was under the radar a little bit, and it was because it was attached to a podcast. Hopefully, Bob, that gives you an indication of where I might be going next here. If I can find where I stuck my links. Hang on, guys. Hang on just a second.
This is so relatable on such a deep level.
Yes. So this one, out of multiple outlets, but it all goes back to a podcast called Unbuilt Pod. This one right here, concept art for a proposed DuckTales 2017 attraction was set to replace Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin at Mickey's Toontown. As recently as 2020, the pitch was scrapped due to COVID-19 cuts at Imagineering. This was interesting. I thought it was like, whoa. And these guys, they brought the art in order to confirm that this is exactly where they were going right here. I lined up the what we know of the blueprint and the floor plan for Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, and it does line up exactly with these rooms right here. There would be some minor reconfiguration in order to reflect this. But yeah, I guess this was really indeed going in. I lost Bob. Bob. That's okay. This was
the
indeed
Disney spies got him. We weren't meant to see this.
The Disney spies got him. Rats. This was going in. 2020. Apparently, it was upended by the pandemic as a lot of Disney's plans changed. We know how big. We know how many plans change for something like EPCOT, for example, right? EPCOT was supposed to be completely different in a pre-2020 world. Post-2020, we've seen those things shape up very differently. Apparently, they really did plan to change this all out. Looks like Laughing Place also has more information about this. A new episode of a theme park related podcast focused on unbuilt Disney theme park attractions has shocked many a Disney fan with their latest entry, revealing that a popular Disneyland attraction had a big bullseye on it more recently than you think. The guys over at Unbuilt, an unrealized theme park podcast, have dropped a bombshell that will have many fans of Disneyland Park breathing a sign of relief. According to the latest episode, Walt Disney Imagineering was this close to replacing Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin in Mickey's Toontown with a ride based on the recent Disney Channel reboot of DuckTales. Now, here's the thing about this, too. Bob, when they reopened Mickey's Toontown, they had the DuckTales theme incorporated into the soundtrack for this attraction. And in 2021, that's when we got the surprise announcement that Jessica Rabbit was getting a new look. Here's what I'm thinking. They cancel this because they were really going to do this, and as a compromise to not, paying the exorbitant funds in order to make this redo possible, well, they just decided to take out what they felt maybe was controversial about the former attraction, that being Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin. They obviously they put Jessica Rabbit in a trench coat, made her a detective, and gave her own agency. Great. That's fantastic. That's the redo that everybody wanted. But apparently it could have been much, much different with DuckTales going into this specific space. I think those two stories are related. Bob, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you because I remember when they were talking about changing things up at Roger Rabbit, and everyone's like, "What? Why are they doing this? This makes no sense." And hey, look, Duckburg would have been great. I think it would have been a really cool ride if they had done it. However, I think they would have gotten a lot of lash from people who love Roger Rabbit. It's a fun, ride. My daughter loves that ride. She wants to go on it all the time. As long as those wait lines are, it's still a fun ride. But I got to be honest with you, when they said that, oh, well, we're going to go ahead and change Jessica Rabbit, it's like, you're going to do what and why? And to me, I was like, why even keep this ride if you're going to do that? I mean, now granted, there's not a whole lot of change to the ride. Yes, she's in a trench coat now, and she's still in some of the same scenes she was before, just a little bit differently. Instead of being trunk, she's outside. To be honest with you, I don't even pay attention to her in the ride. I know they try to make this a big part of, hey, Jessica Rabbit's the investigator now. No, it didn't change anything for the ride. It pretty much stayed the same, other than the fact that you got her in a trench coat now. They were trying to cover her up, which to me, it's like you had a movie on the same type of thing. You've got, okay, I'm going to go off the rail here, but you've got, men in dresses, employees who are working in the park. That's okay, but you can't have a good-looking woman in a, dress like that. So it drives me nuts when you see these things. And I honestly think they probably were going to go ahead and change this ride to Duckburg, but again, they're probably like, oh, budgets and constraints and everything we got.
Right.
We're just gonna change a few things to make Roger Rabbit more DEI friendly.
That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, it really does sound like they were going in this direction. They were going to change this thing in order to make it more relevant. Because I know DuckTales, they were having a little bit of a resurgence at that point. I know that they had announced the DuckTales World Showcase Adventure game that was going to be part of EPCOT right there. I think there was a number of DuckTales projects, or DuckTales related projects anyway, around this time. I think they were also featured in the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie that came out, or at least aspects of them were. So yeah, like that's a very kind of interesting thing to ponder here. Nolan, what do you think? What's more relevant, DuckTales or Roger Rabbit?
Well, I think DuckTales are definitely more relevant. I mean, that song will be in your head on your deathbed, actually, because that song will never, ever go away out of your mind. But I do have to present a question here to the panel, because, I think we just dodged it by this much, having to have the ride rethemed. And I want to ask, why is it such a problem to have Jessica Rabbit in that scantily clad outfit, but my boy Donald Duck don't wear no pants?
Right?
Well, he's a man.
Double standards. Brings a tear to your eye.
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting too, not to go off, on something else, but when they had the Disney Channel After Dark event, they had Scrooge McDuck and Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Donald out there. They, they were, in fact, well, actually, sorry, Donald wasn't there at that part of the park, but they had them in Toontown with Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Scrooge McDuck, and it was awesome. They had Launchpad is there as well. So, you had some really good characters who were hanging out in Toontown, and it felt normal. It felt natural. Kind of makes you wonder, why don't they have these characters there more often? Because you usually just see Pluto, Donald, Goofy, and Mickey and Minnie, and that's about it. So I think that it would be great to see more of those characters involved in the park. But yeah, I mean, I still would have liked this ride. I would have been bummed that, that Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin left, but this would have been a good replacement. But again, I think it was all budget, and that's why we didn't get it.
I think we dodged a bullet here. I mean, if we think of what happened with Tiana's Bayou Adventure and just the lack of creativity, lack of budget that went into that, and we know that's exorbitantly expensive just as it was, which is crazy. I don't know where that money went. Who knows? But when we look at that, we look at these reimaginings that have happened, like EPCOT, for example, all this stuff. I don't know. I mean, as tantalizing as it is to get a DuckTales ride, and I agree with you, Bob. I think I would be very intrigued to see what they would do. I don't know. You look at the recent projects, especially around this time period, I just don't think it would have lived up to the expectation. And that's really the critical thing here. Oh, go ahead.
The thing I was going to say is that with the budgets they've been doing, instead of, Roger Rabbit's got this really cool 3D look throughout the whole entire ride. And it's so amazing to look at. It's fun to look at. It's amazing. And then you get something like, and don't get me wrong, I love Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, amazing. But I feel like we would have gotten something like that for DuckTales instead of this cool 3D looking world like we have for Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. So that's the kind of thing that I would think we would have gone to. Look, if they'd done it like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, cool, but they're not going to invest a bunch of projectors and stuff like that. It's crazy, and it's easier for them to, you know, just put up some, you know, plywood and stuff like that. But I just would rather see a nice 3D world of Roger Rabbit than a 2D version of DuckTales, Duckburg.
Yeah, I do agree with that. You know, they do show some dimensionality in some of this, but some of the stuff does look pretty flat too. You know, maybe it would have been just flats like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, for example, or any of those Fantasyland Dark rides, which, you know, wouldn't have maybe been the worst thing. But again, it's all about how good is this stuff actually going to look. Maybe there's some projections here. Maybe there's some fun effects, you know, kind of, you know, imbued in some of these things. Perhaps they were looking at Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway right next door and saying, okay, maybe we need to spruce up this attraction for those purposes as well. As the Jessica Rabbit stuff, I don't know. I'm really not sure here, but I don't know. You know, gut tells me might have dodged a bullet there. Well, go ahead. Don't.
Sorry. I just wanted to say one more thing before we move on. Is I want to know why on earth are we picking Roger Rabbit? I know the people at Disney don't like Roger Rabbit for several reasons. It's been made abundantly clear over the years since the heyday of that movie. People still love it, but a lot of the current regime just do not like anything about that movie. But I will say, you know, take Tower of Terror, for example, one of the greatest rides on this planet. I still am annoyed that they put the Guardians Tower there, but the reality is you can still experience that in the same country over in Florida. Why not take like Turtle Talk with Crush or something that's already in the Florida park, and that's like, okay, because I understand with Disneyland, the space is limited. You have to work with what happens, and you got to go by what's more popular. But if you have it to where you already have like some attractions that people can already go pay the same money that's still going to you to pay for the trip to Florida, why not take one of your cloned attractions and instead keep like Roger Rabbit? And you also have DuckTales. That cartoon was getting a lot of praise at the time, and I don't know how long it lasted, if it's still up. I have not checked recently, so I apologize for that. But it definitely got some very positive feedback. And for something as amazing as Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, to where that could appeal to the smallest kids, to even elders. I saw a lot of older people on the ride as well. It's magical, and I don't understand why they keep aiming at, here's something that's one of a kind, let's destroy that for something hip, as opposed to, hey, we already got two, let's get rid of one of them. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, there used to be advocates like Tony Baxter, for example. He was big on, hey, look, let's at least keep at least one incarnation of these attractions somewhere when we're looking about replacing things. He actually saved our Mr. Toad's Wild Ride from the same demolition that happened in Florida when that was changed to Winnie the Pooh. Instead, they took the Country Bear Jamboree, which I think is a relatively decent trade-off considering the alternative, I suppose. And maybe Country Bears come back in a big way. Who knows? Maybe the Hungry Bear Barbecue Restaurant is one of many things coming back. But when you look at here, if you don't have an advocate in the room saying, let's at least keep at least one of these things on these various coasts, well, that's how you lose some stuff forever, unfortunately. Now, I guess it would still be in Tokyo. But I think they were looking at this specifically because they were looking at multiple things. It wasn't just making this ride into to appeal to a greater audience with a more relevant IP. I think they were also thinking about the Jessica Rabbit thing, which is why they still went forward with that, even if they didn't go forward with this. It's a very interesting story, one that took me by surprise because I had not heard anything about this. I knew there were going to be some work in Mickey's Toontown in general, and we did receive those updates. Some of those better, some of those worse. but you know, DuckTales for Roger Rabbit, that was very, very surprising indeed. I want to go ahead and thank Barry Place 28 for joining us. I know he has a hard out here, and I want to make sure that we hype the channel Barry Place 28 because I think it's doing fantastic stuff. You are an amazing content creator, sir. And where can people find you?
Well, everyone, you can find me at Barry Place 28 on all my social media channels. So YouTube is where I stream live. You can also catch me on my shorts on YouTube. I've got some really cool ones I've been adding up there. We've got Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You can find me there. You can also catch me on the Park Streamers Hangout. We are having another show I was going to say a week from today, but it's not. Next Monday with me, Theme Park Casual in Cordy, California, and we're always talking about some really cool stuff. So please come hang out with us, and I hope you guys will hang out with me tomorrow night. I will be at Disneyland enjoying the park over there. So for those of you who join me on Sunday, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing many more of you with me tomorrow night if you're available. So everyone, I hope you have a great week. Nolan and Vash, it was great hanging out with you guys, and thank you for having me on the show every week, as always.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much, Bob, for joining us here on some pretty illuminating discussions. Love your insight. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Hey, man.
Bye. Thank you. Well, we've got one more story for you. We could talk about DirecTV, but essentially that story is just DirecTV, Disney. They're having an argument, and while it is very, very
Mom and Dad are
nuances
fighting
of it-
again.
Yeah, Mom and Dad are fighting again. That's right. And now nobody's getting football for dinner, apparently, which is
happens every freaking year.
Every year. Arrgh. What is going on there? I want to talk about Cotino because I think it's very, very interesting. I don't know if you've heard about this, Nolan, but Disney is developing an actual community in the desert there in Palm Springs, or in the greater Palm Springs area near Rancho Mirage, I think is where it's technically located in. They will be setting up a community of homes and houses built by, I think it's 3 different builders now, and I guess they want 2 more to join the project, which is very interesting. A community kind of designed by Disney. Very interesting. You can kind of see where it is right here. So when I was in Palm Springs recently, I was actually in this area right around here. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but right around here in this area. And then literally 2 streets up was Cotino. So what did I do? Well, I went in there and I was like, hey, what is actually going on here? And I actually have some photos from my experience. So if I could present those. Yes, yeah, this is the real investigatory work, folks, right here. I can present those right here. Well, this is the Cotino site, and you can kind of see we've got some beautiful mountains out there. It will look fabulous when these homes actually pop up. But this project has been in the works for a number of years now, and we haven't quite seen the construction that I think I would have expected. Apparently, they want people in homes, or these homes put up, the first phase of them anyway, in early 2025. And I was like, there ain't nothing out here. So I don't know how that's going to work. Now, this preview center right here, or this introductory center, community sales studio, I suppose is what they call it. That was open. It wasn't open at the time I first went, but I went back and I got the whole presentation right there. I even got, you're going to like this, Nolan. I even got a flyer right there.
Ooh.
Cotino. Oh yeah, I got everything right there, which is pretty interesting. You can see here, this is about the only structure, the only 2 structures that have started right here. And if people are not familiar with this story and what this is supposed to be, let me go ahead and share my other screen here, and we will look at some concept art. This is a very kind of ambitious plan, and I believe this was a way of Bob Chapek looking to monetize WED Enterprises or WDI, Walt Disney Imagineering, in ways that it hadn't been before. You can kind of see right here what they envision for this property right here. I think homes starting at 2,200 square feet are going to be starting at $1 million, and then going up to $2 million, maybe even more. They have 3 types of homes that they're going to have on offer right here. So if we go back to this is kind of the how this area is supposed to look. It's not very developed at all. You can kind of see this big lagoon here, which we will get back into we'll get back to in a moment, folks, because that's actually a very big point of contention with the surrounding city, who have recently voiced their displeasure about this whole project here. But you can see here, this is kind of the entrance facade, which is where I passed through, but it didn't look anything quite like this. It will have a series of shopping and dining that will be available within this community itself, some high-end retail shops and so forth. It's all very, very interesting, but you can kind of see right here, they've broken up this area to have 3 different collections, let's say, of housing. So you can see this kind of lighter tan. This is the cottage collection. It's going to be starting around 2,200 square feet. The grand collection, this kind of pinkish color here, that's going to be 2,400 to 3,400 square feet. And the estate collection, 3,400 to 4,000 square feet. These are going to be massive, not massive homes, but massive expensive homes. That is for sure to pay for all this. And apparently, my mom was pretty clever, so she was speaking with the representatives, who were very nice. She was like, what makes this Disney? And I thought, that's a good question. Because, for the asking price of $1 million, what do you get? And they're like, well, if you enroll into the Artisan Club, which we'll have available to this, then that'll give you access to club services that are staffed by Disney cast members and so forth. And it's like, wow, you don't even get that with the point of purchase. You have to actually enroll in this, probably on an annual basis for this club here. I mean, that is something. You can get an idea of what. Not that. Yeah, there we go. You can get an idea of what these homes are supposed to look like right here. Very mid-century modern, which is appropriate for the area. Although we see it a lot from Imagineering nowadays.
Can I be a house snob for a second?
Please.
Ew. This looks, I don't like this. Maybe I was depending on your viewpoint, I'm going to be the worst person to bring on to this because I hate the suburbs. I hate the suburbs. I am that person, you don't strive for a big fat mansion. You get a nice plot of land. You can get a nice little rural, spot. You can get a little house. You can get some actual, nature stuff, like a garden to, be one with the land, not a disease on the planet. So, yes, I am a bit hippie in some spots. And this, I love modern wonders. I was geeking out about EPCOT earlier with all the wonders of technology. But this is just the most generic, I am a rich person place where it doesn't have any character or any heart to any of these spots. It's just an excuse for them to try to make some money. It's barely got the Disney stamp on it. And they'd like to, if we see with Reedy Creek, they'd probably like to have some sort of amount of control over this area with some policies and fees and stuff like that. And I hate to be a downer on this whole sort of thing, but hardly anyone in this state is going to be able to afford it. These aren't the times of a bunch of young couples moving into houses. The younger generations, and even the older generations, need more chance for housing opportunities. And I do love that it's convenient to a beach, kind of like a vacation, as we're seeing here. But this is not the kind of move that shows hey, take Walt, for example. And I'm not saying Bob Iger has to be Walt Disney, because I don't think that's fair, because there's not a lot of those people out there, especially when it comes to CEOs, unfortunately. But this is not, when he took, say, EPCOT, he saw the city of the future that will keep evolving. He wanted it to be a city for people to have better lives in. This looks like a trick to just get some more profits off of the consumer. It looks super corporatized. And yes, I'm sure this beach will be pretty nice and it will be cool to hang out at and such. But I just don't think this is what the world needs. They do need more things like this for interactions and connections. There's a lot of struggles right now with young people when it comes to ownership, dating, even just being socially awkward because of the internet. Another CEO's rich, fancy, triangular house, what is this going to gain for anybody? Does this scream Disney magic that people can get behind? It's going to take them to a fancy land that will hopefully one day mirror reality and inspire, much like, say, Star Trek, the more cool things that happened in life in the later years. I don't like this.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. I'm kind of scratching my head because I'm like, yeah, these are lovely homes, and well, I say lovely. They are interesting homes, and I guess Greg C was pointing it out here. Yeah, they do kind of fit the 1950s, 1960s, mid-century modern kind of feel and aesthetic that this area is known for. At the same time, they're not the most attractive homes in the world. They do have great views of those mountains like we just saw before, those kind of Palm Desert mountains. They're just lovely scenic views. But I do kind of go, wow, if I had all the money in the world, would I necessarily spend it here? I'm not sure if I would. Well, and that's not even just half the story here. I did ask them, hey, you were going to call that dog park, that Laughing Place Ranch there. What is that name of that dog park now? And they were like, we don't. There's like they said there's like a 3-word name to it, and they don't quite know. I thought that was very, very funny. And you can actually see it right here in this pamphlet that was given to me. Right here, this dog park, that was Laughing Place Ranch right there. That's what that dog park was. And they got a little squirmish there across that question, because I was like, still wondering what that's going to be actually be called. Very, very interesting.
I'll call it a quiet place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. There's going to be 1,932 homes here. It's 618 acre lot. I believe the lagoon is 24 acres itself, which is about 18 football fields. Pretty large here. Pretty large. They did post
construction.
Yep.
And this isn't the fault of construction. It's just, it looks like a liminal space image. If you've ever seen one of those, like, it looks like it's a spot that should be populated, but it's really empty, and it just comes off as super creepy. I'm seeing a lot of feedback from the audience where they're saying it looks like dry and unsettling and stuff. And
yeah,
I think that reflects what the final image is going to be. It's just there for a rich dude to get more money in his pocket, and it's not going to help nothing. And what is this going to do to bring in more tourism to California? Because so many people are leaving because they can't afford it. And if you have that flair, the magic, because like, if you lived at a place that was something like EPCOT, okay, that beats like, a lame, boring city suburb anyway. But this just looks so. I have seen areas before that are, for the more higher income, like, I'll be real with you, rich people, and it's beautiful. It's like, okay, if you had to pick between your house and this mansion, even if it's not the most ideal thing you'd want, okay, you'd probably pick the mansion because there's a vibe to it. But this, it just looks like anything you'd see on like a hotel advertisement or something like that that's catering for, come bring your corporate party here. I just don't see any Disney in this. And even when it's not Disney, not impressed. Sorry.
Yeah, I do have to. I agree with your sentiments there, Nolan. It's a very controversial thing, very, very interesting issue for sure. And I guess the nearby residents aren't thrilled about it either. Los Angeles Times, Disney's new mega neighborhood is taking shape in the California desert, but some locals are dubious. Go ahead and right here for this by Jack Fleming. Rancho Mirage, California. Mickey Mouse is making his way to the Coachella Valley, whether locals want him there or not. In Rancho Mirage, the Walt Disney Company is making progress on an ambitious development that promises to sprinkle some Disney magic into real estate. Dubbed Cotino, the master plan community is the first of the entertainment giant's Storyliving projects. And yes, they do say first, folks, because there's a second one, which we'll get back into in just a moment, designed for home buyers who want to bring Disney deeper into their everyday lives. Citation needed right there. Donald Duck won't be delivering your mail, but the specs offer plenty of Disney flourishes, including an Incredibles-themed gathering space. Okay, a 24-acre lagoon, massive undertaking with 1,932 planned homes spread across more than 600 acres. Some desert dwellers say that they've already found their happiest place on Earth, and it has nothing to do with Disney. Quote, Rancho Mirage is quiet, peaceful, and friendly, said Mark Wolpa, who moved here from San Francisco in 2008. But Cotino's bringing pollution, commotion, and chaos to an area that didn't need it. Wolpa lives down the street from the Cotino site and said once empty roads have swelled with traffic as tractors, cranes, and trucks shut down lanes and clog the road. On a recent visit last week, excavators working along Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra Drives slowed traffic as the site's exterior was taking shape. A roughly 6-foot wall separates the property from the street, and drought-tolerant landscaping spruces up the sidewalks that wrap around it. Wolpa says that his main concern was water usage required to fill and maintain a lagoon in the middle of the desert. I mean, it's, not for nothing. 24 acres of lagoon. That's a large body of water right there. Now, they do say that Disney has tapped Crystal Lagoons, a company that specializes in creating massive bodies of water. The company keeps the specifics of its technology under wraps. The website does claim that the lagoon consumes 33 times less water than an 18-hole golf course and replaces much of the water lost to evaporation by capturing rainwater. The Rancho Mirage area receives an average of about 6 inches of rain per year. A lot of people noted that when Disney announced this project with this huge lagoon, which I believe was about 10 acres larger than it ended up being, they said that, look, we're in a drought. We've been asked to reduce our water usage, replace our grass with false grass or rocks and so forth, and now you're putting in this lagoon. There were a lot of people that were a bit dismayed about that. Apparently, Ted Wheel, the mayor of Rancho Mirage, defended the lagoon, writing that the property owners have the right to develop their land in accordance with city standards and pointing out that Disney's plans fall within its allotted water budget. Wheel noted that Coachella Valley has 54,000 swimming pools, so the lagoon is nothing new, and Disney even downsized the original design by 10 acres. Also, too, people complain about the natural wildlife being displaced, and that is a for sure thing. There's no question about that. Traffic was another concern here. I don't know. This thing is already getting some pushback here. Very expensive homes. Also, too, by 3 separate developers or home builders. It's interesting because, I mean, if you want to maintain a certain quality standard, how do you do that with 3, 4, 5 home builders? It's an interesting question, one that I hadn't thought about before, but I was reminding me. It was like, wait a minute, how do you maintain those quality standards? Now, Palm Springs makes sort of sense for Disney because obviously Walt Disney did have Smoke Tree Ranch out there in Palm Springs, and that was a very Walt Disney really took to the area. You can see that kind of icon, that Smoke Tree Ranch icon, actually embedded in his tie on his later appearances, and I believe it's on the partner statue at all of the castle parks that feature that iconic image. And it's one of 2 here, so Asteria will be is in development right now as well. This is a Storyliving community out in North Carolina. So the good times, they just don't end up Palm Springs, apparently. This is a new venture by Disney, by Imagineering, by the consumer, or I should say experiences segment of the company, Walt Disney Company. Nolan, you gonna be buying a home anytime soon here? From Disney?
Well, probably this might come as a shock, but no. I read this little description they have here, and it says, and in the spirit of creating true community, gathering spots and green spaces will provide a perfect setting for meeting new friends who share a passion for living life to its fullest. Yep, all those gatherings when they're not on their phones watching Disney Plus or on their TVs watching Disney Plus or going to the movies to watch Deadpool, Wolverine. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I get you. It's gonna be fascinating how they're going to deal with this. I know Cotino and it looks like Asteria as well will have some residences for those only 55 and older. 4,000 residences. Okay, so this is actually twice the size of Cotino at first build out. I mean, hopefully it's a profitable venture for the Walt Disney Company, at least more profitable than something like, I don't know, Acolyte, for example. Which, by the way, just as a side note, did you know, Nolan, that apparently Keanu Reeves was going to be was apparently going to be cast in the Acolyte, actually to play Master Soul in the show? Did you see that story?
I did hear about this.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I think Keanu Reeves dodged a bullet, Matrix style, because I walked right into that. My bad. But no, Keanu
you're
Reeves,
right. That was my initial thoughts as well, as you can see right here.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. You see, this man knows it. This is why you got to watch his show. This is great. So, I love Keanu Reeves. He's so cool, and he's one of the least polarizing actors out there. Like, people love his work in The Matrix and John Wick and all that, and he doesn't need Star Wars because he's cooler than Star Wars. And there was a time where I would call that crazy, but is it really amazing? It's like, imagine you really want a Corvette and someone, let's picture it's Bob. Actually, in this case, I guess it would be Kathleen Kennedy. She gets behind the wheel of that Corvette and she's riding around like a teenager who's just got his license and is like a frat boy, just going around and crashing it into all the fire hydrants. If you get that Corvette when it's already had 3 crashes and dents on the side, is it really feel that awesome to be driving the Corvette anymore? No. You are already as cool. You're cool enough without that vehicle, and Keanu Reeves does not need Star Wars. Would I love to see him as this awesome Jedi or something like that, or a gray Jedi? Absolutely. Would I want to see him in anything that has to do with Kathleen Kennedy? No. Because every time we get something that could be optimism, we get things like the sequel trilogy. We get things like Galaxy's Edge being all themed to stuff nobody really cared about. And I guess that is a little bit exclusive, or not including everybody, because there were a few people, as we saw with the Backlash, who watched the Acolyte, but it just isn't enough. And if they want to maintain Star Wars as something that, because this brand is built off of people enjoying the product. If the product's not good, you can put an undercooked steak on the most beautiful plate in the world. But if the steak ain't good, you're never coming back again. I don't think people are coming back to the Acolyte.
Well, I mean, they got Trinity already here. So, we don't need to take down Neo as well. I do agree with you. He does not need to be associated with Star Wars at any point, any time. He's done
Kathy
everything at this point.
I'm seeing Kathy being like, you ready, Keanu? Yeah. It's like doing the John Wick thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Except now I think it would be more like the ending. I won't spoil, but more like the ending to John Wick 3. But I cannot quote that on this show. But I feel like that's how Keanu would feel after seeing how that show turned out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone. Yeah, kind of thing right there, right?
Those are the movies we need. It gets people hyped. That's what Star Wars used to be. And
I know.
And I was on Flight of Passage. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a tangent here.
Please, go ahead.
I was on Flight of Passage, and I do not like the Avatar movies. I did not get Way of the Water. I saw it at my friend's theater. I thought it was terrible. But the reality is, those films make money. There's a lot of people that like them. And James Cameron loves Avatar. He worked closely with getting that made. J.K. Rowling, like her or not, worked closely to get that park. They want nothing to do with George Lucas. And the Star Wars stuff has suffered. We've seen it in their media. But in the parks, I just see the beauty they put into the details of Galaxy's Edge. And I'm like, why can't this be something people wanted to see?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Look, if there was going to be a really for real Star Wars movie made by competent creatives and people who actually cared about the franchise, cared about the legacy, and also cared about the characters themselves and didn't just use them as disposable pawns like X-23, for example, in the Acolyte, then yeah, maybe a Keanu Reeves-led project might be actually pretty cool here. And I will say that the GOAT, as somebody have classified him, which I think is appropriate, just turned 60. He had his birthday yesterday there. That is an amazing achievement right there. I would play this video, but I would have to reclassify the entire video that you're watching right now, and I'm not going to do that. So you can see him training at the range there, though. It is very, very cool. Awesome
Could you imagine
stuff.
him in a Knights of the Old Republic movie as like the main star? Like if that was done right. That would be a $1 billion movie right there. Oh man.
Oh man, there are so many great projects that could happen with competent creatives, with people who knew how to tell stories. But now, like the DuckTales story we had before, I just don't trust them. And speaking of trust, going back to our Storyliving story just for a second.
Back to our
like
new home for the community.
Yes, exactly. I like this this message here by 80s Man. If you want to know what might happen with the planned city, read all about the problems they had 25 years ago with Celebration Florida. Read the book Celebration USA, Living in Disney's Brave New Town. That is indeed very, very important right there. This is a little bit different than that situation, than like having to run a school, for example. But hey, I mean, what if you have a problem with one of these home builders and the quality of your home and so forth after shelling out so much money?
No, I'm
gonna have to keep
picturing
an eye
like
on this
the
one, that's for sure.
homeowners association with this.
Mhm.
Like you just have like Goofy and
Oh.
like a truck coming up to like the mafia, to level you up a bit.
It's a lovely home you have there. Shame if something didn't happen. It would be a shame if something happened to it if you didn't actually pay for our Artisan Club package there. That's like I said, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this story, folks. That is for sure. But don't touch that dial yet. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing. I just want to say, doesn't this kind of sound like the plot of like a National Lampoon's movie? They move into the Disney community and stuff like that, and there's just a entire housing war going on between the state and the community and stuff. Why don't they just make a movie about this? This would be very entertaining.
You know what? I don't disagree with you necessarily right there. That would be very entertaining. That's the movie. Oh, yeah. Literally the plot of the Truman Show. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, Aegis, man. Always with the references. Very much appreciate your input. That is for sure. Josh Hammond, I'm going to, yup, pal. If you don't pay up, Goofy as a mobster. That's pretty good. Not so inclusive Storyliving. Yep.
Ron wins. Ron wins. Best comment of the stream. I love that.
The jokes are unending. But don't touch that dial, folks. We're going to redirect you to Mr. H momentarily here. But before we actually do that, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to the amazing, the one and only Nolan Thunder right here, who has been such a great sport by joining me on this amazing show. Nolan, you really do make these shows what they are. I love featuring you on this channel. Please go ahead, give the people instructions on where they can find you on this amazing, big, beautiful web out there.
Okay, so this is my channel, Nolan Thunder. You see this video game right here? This is called Super Mario 64. There's been a lot of talk in the past few years that every copy of this game has been personalized with a prototype artificial intelligence that will tweak your game to manifest your inner desire. And a lot of players have recently stumbled upon rather odd anomalies, such as characters changing, levels being in different spots. And there's been a lot of videos surfing on the internet that shows evidence of this alleged encounter. Has this been a fabricated hoax by the internet, or is there really some sort of secretive prototype artificial intelligence that could have somehow been in a 90s video game system? In the next episode of my series, Lost in the Files, we will dive into this great mystery, and I hope you are along for the ride. Thank you.
Whoa! What a pitch right there. Well, now I gotta see your next episode of the show there. That sounds absolutely incredible. And people can find Nolan Thunder under Nolan Thunder. He's actually well branded across the platforms, including X, including YouTube, and so forth. let's go ahead and make sure we have a link in the chat right there where you can actually find them.
Thank you so much, Vash. Really much appreciated. And
yes.
I'm prepping up. If I can plug one more thing, if you don't mind. This hat I'm rocking right here is the new Super Nintendo World for Orlando that's going to be coming next year. We're working to try to hopefully do some. I would love to do some on-site coverage on the opening weekend or whenever they end up scheduling it. So I've already been booking up a bunch of the sweet merchandise to get in preparation for that. So if you follow up on the channel, you should be seeing that hopefully sometime next year if you're interested in more of the theme park side of things. So be on the lookout for that.
Fantastic. Hey, no matter what you do, Nolan, I am here and happy to support you in all the endeavors right there. You have been such a great supporter of our channels. Also, you're doing some amazing stuff on that gameplay, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you. Yes. If you want to see the real stars of the show, you want to check out that gameplay because you are going to see, like, I'm there. I give some stupid Nintendo opinions, but if you want the really fun stuff, you gotta see our man Culture Casino and his beard of wisdom, because we talk about all sorts of gaming news, everything from the culture war to the latest gaming headlines, the Nintendo Directs, the new games that are bringing some cool concepts. A while back, we talked about a story about how someone had used like maps to determine that Rainbow Road from Mario Kart was hovering over like someplace in like, I believe it was China. I'm trying to remember. We did this story a little while ago, but we talk about all sorts of crazy things. It's got the vibe of like an arcade of like hanging out with some friends. So if you're passionate about gaming, from like the history of how they're made to just what the fun stuff that's been going on, I recommend checking it out. We recently talked about a prototype Nintendo GameCube that literally looks like a PC tower. It's wild. And I believe there's also, I unfortunately miss them quite often, but every week we also have a live stream where we talk about some of the latest news, much like this show. I believe it is every Wednesday, and I believe we've recently moved it to 2. So if you want to hear some amazing people like Spencer, Jonas, Culture, Marvin, Loki, Space Dave, all the crew, there's so many amazing people here, and you want to hear their takes. So I really recommend checking out if it's something you're interested in.
Absolutely. Well, hey, how could anybody not be interested in like, for example, breaking Concord officially dead? One of the biggest, I don't know, misfires by Sony in quite some time. They might be having to take a $200 million loss on that whole project. And folks, if you learn what Sony just announced today regarding that, it'll blow your mind right here. And it looks like Culture's right on top of it. So definitely check out that gameplay. Definitely check out Nolan Thunder, Barry Plays 28, and follow the Bradley's Fun as well. Ron's doing some amazing work there as well. Nolan, thank you so much for joining us right here. You guys are going to be redirected to Mr. H in just one moment, but before you do, please give the like if you haven't hit the like button yet. Hit that subscribe button because it really does help us against the YouTube algorithm. That is absolutely for sure. And thank you so much for watching another episode of T3PO. Very much appreciate you guys supporting us and watching us and helping us out. Very much appreciate it. And we will see you next time here, 2:30 Eastern. Tuesday? Yeah, same bat channel, same bat time, as Lou would say. We'll catch you later.